Howdy, Old Tom Rides here again with another video having to do with the WR250R. Today's topic is going to be Tooltube. Now, this is something that a lot of guys put on their bikes, and I've had them on a couple different bikes. They're super useful. Some people will use them for obviously carrying tools. Other people, sometimes they're good for putting a canister of fuel, for example. If you have like an MSR fuel container like this, they slip in there really nice. But obviously most of the time they're going to be used for tools. The tricky part often is how to mount them. And I've done this on a couple of different bikes, and each one it's a custom deal. I mean, it's a do-it-yourself, figure out how to do it. But we're going to focus today on the WR250R because that's obviously what's in front of me, and it's where I have my tool tube. So first of all, a little background. This is the second one that I'd put on here. However, this particular tube I actually had on a different bike. Now, the first one I put on this bike is this one, and this is essentially, you can pick it up from several different type of agricultural stores. It's actually a large manual canister. That's how you'll find it. Agri Supply, which you'll see in the link below, is where I bought them. They're $6, then some shipping. You can probably find them if you live in a city that has agricultural supplies, then you'll probably be able to just walk in and buy one, or at least order it from them. They're really nice. All of these are essentially the same type of thing. There's a screw-off lid. This has a lot. There is a rubber gasket. I don't know if you can see that on there, but there's a rubber gasket that helps keep it waterproof. The manual canister has a place at the top and the bottom to mount it. You'll notice this one is broken. More about that in a little bit. But this one's short. You can see it's about 12 inches, I think. Anyways, it worked pretty well. The mounting places help, but you still have to figure out how to secure it to the bike. The first time I did it, I mounted it right up here. Now, ordinarily on the WR250R, there is a helmet lock assembly that screws into behind this plate, which you can't see right now. What I did originally was I found the correct metric size threads for that, put a bolt in there, and rigged up another bracket over here, basically just to strap around the frame of the bike. And that's how I anchored. That's how I anchored the manual canister when I was using that for the tool tube. The problem is that I had it too far down because I had it mounted about here. The end of it came just underneath the blinker. The reason why I had it that way is because I had the original Yamaha tools still in place where they normally go. Now, that worked. However, it was too far down, and when I had my bags on top of it, it would compress it in a little bit, and it was actually rubbing against the tire when I hit a good dip, which, it's adventure riding. You're going to be hitting potholes and rocks and all sorts of stuff. So that first night, I had to tear it apart, change how the bracket was, move it further up so that it's more up on the frame, and that worked. That worked for the remainder of the trip. Later on, the breakage came when I was just out riding, and I dumped the bike, and it fell off, and that's the problem with plastic. So, version 2. I obviously wanted something stronger. I wanted to make sure that the bracket could not move, and that even if I fell and the case broke, it would not go into where the wheel well is. And so those were the parameters for this second version. This particular tool tube, like I said, I had it on my Suzuki V-Strom, different mounting. This is made by Lincoln Electric. It is a welding rod case, so it's about 14 inches long, and it's the same type of thing. It has the screw top that comes right off. Much less threads actually than the, sorry, that's my part of the tools. And then you can put your tools in there. I've got mine in here basically in a fabric tool roll, so that it's easy to get in and out. And there we go. It was originally red, which this probably won't show up on the video, but anyways, if you look at it up online, it's kind of a bright red, spray painted it black. These are like $7 online with shipping. I don't know what it would cost, but I ended up buying this locally from, I think, Lowe's or Home Depot. I forget which. It was quite a while ago. Anyways, I like this one better because it's longer, and so you can then, your tools can spread out a little bit, and so you don't have them all jumped up in a fat bundle. So anyways, on to the tube itself and how I've got it basically attached. So you're not going to be able to see this here, but I'll show you another view. What I have under here is basically three things. I've got the tube itself, or four things, all right. The tube itself. I have a piece of tubular steel that is sort of a backbone. It goes from one bolting spot on the frame to a lower bolting spot. It has a curve like this. And then over the top of that is a piece of aluminum diamond plate, just spray painted black, and that's what you're seeing here is the smooth side of that. That's all I did. These were just materials that I happened to have around, so this one didn't cost me anything. I also happen to have the pipe clamps because I had bought them on the trip I was mentioning before where I had to rework the older tool tube. I bought these particular clamps at a hardware store thinking I was going to need to when I had to fix it, and I just kept them. So for this particular setup, it didn't cost me anything. So onto the construction. So what I basically did here, I wanted the tool tube to be in parallel with the exhaust pipe. I wanted them to be running down the same way. Now the reason why I did that is because when I have my luggage sitting over the top of it, I didn't want it to be lopsided one way or the other. I didn't want to have a potential for going into the wheel well. So that's just my own personal preference. I kind of got that idea from my brother because my brother's a little bit anal and he likes everything just all lined up and symmetrical. But there's a really good solid reason for doing that, and that is your luggage. So what I basically did is I took the piece of tubular steel, is about maybe 13 or 14 inches long. I heated it up and bent it into a curve. I pounded the ends flat, drilled holes, and basically mounted them here and here. This is the same bolt that goes through the helmet lock assembly, and this is just another bolt that I attached to part of the mechanism, part of the framing that holds the Yamaha tools. So it really isn't, there isn't a whole lot to this, to be honest. Once you've done that, I have this diamond plate, and it's, like I said, it's just in the shape of an L, and it's a cradle that holds the tool tube. The reason for that is I didn't want this to have the potential for just being held on by the pipe clamps. So the L shape of the diamond plate holds this in place. All the pipe clamps do is just holding the whole thing together. But this is bolted through and attached to the tubular steel behind that. Both of these are locked into the frame, so it's not going anywhere. I mean, there's a little bit of a flex because it is aluminum, but it's not going this direction. And that's pretty much it. It's a pretty solid setup. Yes, it's plastic in the sense that if I right now drop this thing on the concrete floor, yeah, it'd probably break. But you know, that's the risk you take. Stuff breaks all the time. I mean, look at this. I got broken stuff all over. Anyways, that's the tool tube. There are probably 12 or 15 different ways you can build a tube and mount it to the bike. And the mounting is where everything is different. My brother uses the same Agri Supply tube on his. He has a completely different mounting setup on his, but it works, and it's a very solid arrangement. Like mine, he has it mounted up high enough so that it is not in danger of being pulled underneath the bike for some reason. So anyways, as the saying goes, your mileage may vary, but this is how I've got mine set up. If you have any questions that I've left out here in describing this little thing, feel free to give me put them in the comments below, and I will respond. Thanks. Have a good day. Get out there and ride.